there, party people. Welcome to People Stuff, a weekly anthropological advice show hosted by me, Michael, and my colleague Dan. Dan, how are you?
Doing great, man. No National Guard outside my door.
Yeah, they've left my door for the moment, so, hopefully, maybe they'll be back. I don't know.
We've all learned that Los Angeles County is very big.
Yeah, I know it's not really funny, but the thing about when you watch this on television, like I've had so many text messages this week, people asking me if I'm okay, but really these protests are all, I'm kid you not, they're in like a 2-block radius downtown. Yeah, all of this is happening in like 2 blocks of Los Angeles, which is one of the largest counties in the country and in which 25 million people live. We're talking total, like there's like 2,500 people involved and they're all in a 2-block radius downtown. And so,
made for TV. It's very LA.
It is made for TV. It's like, one of the things that's everyone in LA is talking about right now is why no one's filming in LA anymore. And really this is like, this protest this week are the largest production that LA's seen in some years. Yeah.
So this is actually the strategy to revitalize Los Angeles film industry.
I blame Mel Gibson and John Voight for the bringing Hollywood back to L.A. stuff, right? Revitalizing the U.S. film industry. This is definitely the biggest production in L.A. that's happened since I've lived here.
Godspeed.
And on that note, just remember, we're anthropologists and we know stuff about people. People stuff. All right. So this week we're talking about refusal. That is, when people refuse to do something. Could be a refusal to talk about politics with you, a refusal to get vaccinated, a refusal to eat weird-smelling food. Weird-smelling food, I don't know. I kind of object to that. But anyways, Dan, what do you think about refusal?
I refuse to tell you.
Oh, you are a bastard, Dan. Okay. Well, I'm not going to lie. Bartleby the Scrivener is my favorite short story. Do you know this one?
Yeah.
Henry
It's a classic. I would prefer not to.
That's right. It's about a scribe in a lawyer's office in the 1840s or 1850s who just refuses to scribe anymore. His boss requests him to do things, and he says, I would prefer not to. And he just doesn't do it. And by the end of the story, what happens? The entire edifice of this law office and Bartleby's life just kind of falls down around him, right?
Yeah, you get the famous last line, Bartleby, humanity.
Bartleby, humanity. We refuse, and so the edifices fall around us. Bartleby is not the only famous scrivener in my life. Let me tell you. I'll just tell you the story about my grandfather and refusing to do something that most people would think of as extremely important. My grandfather, who was a youth in the early days of World War II in rural Arkansas, saw a sign and it said, join the Navy and learn a trade. He thought he would join the Navy and become a machinist. It's like join the Navy and you pick the trade you want to learn. So he goes down to the recruiting office and they make him take the test, right? He didn't test well. He had only an 8th grade education, and so it didn't, that's not really, let's say, machinist adjacent, let me put it that way. Mm-hmm. So they made him a stevedore, which is like a dude who unloads ships. He did not like that, and he held a grudge against the Navy till the day he died. He never really had anything good to say about the Navy because he wanted to be a machinist.
We love a grudge.
He thinks they ruined his life because they didn't make him a machinist. So what they did do is they signed him to a CB battalion and sent him to basic training in Rhode Island in January. Against which he also held a grudge. Okay, so it was cold and wet and miserable.
Join the Navy, see the world, go to Rhode Island in winter.
Rhode Island in January. He's like, this sucks. This is terrible. And still, he's a stevedore. So then they put him on a train. He goes from Rhode Island to Oxnard, the other big CB depot on the one on the West Coast, and they put him on a ship, and he goes to Guadalcanal. And this is when Guadalcanal was an active war zone. So he's in this construction battalion, the CB battalion. And, it's not like a normal Navy unit. It's literally just drafted construction workers. So it's a bunch of young kids and some middle-aged foremen who had been building things before the war, probably unemployed for a while because it was the Depression. And so one day he's unloading this ship, and the ship comes in. As you can imagine, it has like what you could only describe as vital war supplies because it is an active war zone. There was a machine off to the side, but the foreman wasn't letting them use it to unload the ship. So my grandfather just he got mad, and then he just sat under a palm tree. And the foreman came up to him and he said, "Hey, why aren't you unloading this ship?" He goes, I refuse to unload this ship because the machinery's sitting right there and I'm not going to break my back for no good reason. Okay. So you can imagine this could go a number of ways. But what happened was the foreman looked at him and said, "Okay, how about you drive the water truck? You just drive around and give people water." So he said, "Okay, I can do that." So for the rest of the war, he just drove this water truck around Guadalcanal.
And he never had to unload another boat?
Never had to unload another boat, but he was the water boy.
Yeah, man. This is the power of refusal.
This is the power of refusal. Yeah. So he loved it. I mean, then he talks about it. He still held a grudge against the Navy, obviously, because he wasn't a machinist, but he did enjoy his time driving around Tropical Island.
Well, it's because if the Navy had its way, he would have broken his back just unloading shit until the end of the war. But he found someone else who saw that the value in refusal, and the cosmos rewarded him.
Ah, Grandpa, ah, humanity.
Exactly.
Okay.
Do you feel that this proclivity towards refusal has wended its way down the generations of your family?
I don't know. I mean, I feel that way. I often will refuse to do things. Yeah.
Like quickly start this podcast.
Yeah, I definitely refuse to quickly start this. Yeah, exactly. In fact, I'm holding this podcast hostage right now. I would like to be elevated.
Well, what comes next, Michael? What comes next?
From co-host to primary host? I'm going to sit here behind this microphone.
The first among equals. Fine. Yeah, you can be the primary host.
There we go.
What comes next?
This is great. And now, let's look at something that's caught our eyes this week. It's What Fresh Hell. Dan, what's on your mind?
Okay. Did you ever collect baseball cards as a child?
Yeah, briefly.
What did that look like?
Well, you just every time you saw a baseball card, pack of baseball cards, you would buy them, and then of course you would never open them.
Why wouldn't you open them?
Because they only have value in their unopened state. It's a bit like toy collecting, right? I mean, toys are very collectible, but only if you don't play with them. Baseball cards are the same way. So it's like, I don't know, it is this cruel kind of hobby where the value accrues to it if you don't use it. It's not.
Yeah, it's very like anti-child. In any event, so okay, you have this dilemma with the baseball cards, right? Where you have the pack, but you don't want to open the pack because you don't want to destroy the mint edition of your cards. But you also don't know what's in the pack, right?
That's the whole point.
What if I were to tell you there is a technological solution to this? Baseball card collectors are using CAT scan machines. CAT scan machines, medical imaging devices, to check boxes and packs of cards for rare cards before they open them.
How the hell is this possible when I can't, there's like a 4-month wait to get anything CAT scanned on my body? Why is it? How do they have access to these things?
Money talks.
So you're saying I should just trade my doctor baseball cards, and that's the...
Yeah. Tell them that, there might be some Otanis in these packs, so you should bump me to the top of the list and make sure I don't have a concussion or something.
Okay, I can do that.
But yeah, so what's happening now is you're getting, wholesalers getting whole boxes of cards and trying to image them to see if there are special editions of cards. And this is particularly crazy nowadays because you have... the normal run of baseball cards is 350 cards. But when you add in the holograms, the weird doodles, the throwback cards, the relic cards, all that stuff, you start getting thousands of different cards. I mean, for example, there is a Larry David softball team baseball card in the most recent Topps series that is worth thousands of dollars, worth way more than many baseball players. And so you can take these blocks of cards to a medical imager, and they can see ahead of time whether or not the holograms are in the pack, the relics are in the pack.
Wait, there's a Larry David baseball card?
Yeah, man.
I should get back into this hobby, because now all of a sudden I'm very interested. Larry David is like my personal hero.
It's also like
Talk about a good refusal.
Taking a step back from the CAT scans, there are also some cards that are like special cards that weigh more than the normal cards. So you can just weigh a pack of cards and see that, oh, it's slightly heavier than it should be on average. Therefore, it's probably likely that you have a special card in here. And so unopened packs are going for hundreds of dollars on eBay because of this.
So this is a good one for drug dealers who have very fine scales.
Yeah, man. And of course, the baseball card manufacturers are trying to put a ban on anyone who does this. But there's no way to tell if a box of cards has been CAT scanned ahead of time. And the imagers are like, we actually don't know who uses our service. They use fake email addresses. They use transaction methods like via Stripe that you can't really track super easily. So there's like no registry of who's doing the CT scans to the boxes of cards.
This is one like crypto. I send you cryptocurrency. You give me access to your CT machine.
Something like that, man.
Wow, this is now I'm really interested in this gray market for CAT scans. This is to me the most interesting aspect of this.
It's just such a I mean, setting all this other shit aside, which it's interesting to talk about how the collectibles are developing and how there's this weird problem that you have so many collectible cards and you can image them and see them ahead of time. But it's also this perverse outcome of having like a for-profit medical system. Like, I don't think you could take a box of cards to a CAT scan machine in Denmark. Like, that just wouldn't work. It's not like a pay-to-play system.
You'd never get in, right?
No,
it doesn't happen.
No, you don't commodify medicine that way.
But here, I mean, I know I can get, if I lay out enough cash, I can get a CAT scan. I could probably get a CAT scan like within this week in LA if I just paid enough money.
Oh, yeah. There are startups that are
private,
doing MRIs, CAT scans, and they're just doing like general scans to check for anomalies.
Scans, yeah.
And so everyone has in the back of their head, oh, I really need to see if I have some form of cancer that I wouldn't detect. And yeah, cool, great. It'd be very good if you could detect that. But most of what people detect are just anomalies that end up being completely benign and then invite all sorts of testing that is unproductive, invasive, and has risk of harming you even more. And it also burdens the medical system because you're taking up time. Rich people who can afford the MRIs then get the scans, and it bumps people even further down the line.
Sure, Dan, but whatever.
But this is a podcast about baseball cards.
Well, what I'm really taking from this is that I can get scanned anytime I want if I buy a bunch of baseball cards and take them with me.
Yeah. It's not enough to say I might have a concussion. You have to say I might have a concussion and an Ohtani foil.
Let's move on to our first question because I feel like we could do the whole podcast about this.
All right, what you got?
All right, here's our first question. Hey guys, I'm a 24-year-old guy living with my girlfriend. We survived our first trip to IKEA by having it delivered. Thanks, guys. Really loving the poem. But now we have a different problem. I have been listening to podcasts, Matt Walsh and Steve Bannon, among others. I think I might see the problem coming, Dan. And have really gotten into politics. Ooh, this country is in bad shape. Exclamation point.
Okay, yeah.
I want to talk to her about the important things going on in the world, like foreign countries taking advantage of our generosity, the climate hoax, and all the crazy gender stuff. But my girlfriend rejects all my efforts at discussion and says I have, quote, been red-pilled. Get this, she even said if I keep this up, she'll refuse to have sex with me. What do I do? Signed, Desperate to Talk.
This is a trap, and I am not going to take the bait. The obvious starting point for this question is to engage in some sort of partisan hackery with Steve Bannon and Matt Walsh, and we can do that, but I think because this is an anthropology podcast, there's a slightly different, perhaps less obvious place to start. So my starting point with this is that we're thinking of, this is like a media question. Like, this is a question about like media diets and like how they affect people. We often have this idea that like information is like straightforward, and then there's just like truth and lies, facts and opinion, and it's just a matter of going out and like doing your own research or
that's that's a famous theory from mass communication theory, right? The hypodermic needle theory from information studies, actually, the hypodermic needle theory of information. I have information, I inject it into you. and now you have information.
Yeah, and it does this kind of classic work where it's like you're an individual, you're a passive individual. It's really just a choice about where you're getting your shots from, and it ignores kind of larger social stuff. What was Benedict Anderson? What was he, like a political scientist? He's a guy who wrote a book that we were all forced to read in grad school.
Area studies, but political science. I mean, what majors? I mean, what are your fields when you're in area studies? Like you're political
science, international relations, law, maybe. I don't know. Law, this was a guy that we were all forced to read in graduate school, and he has a really famous book called Imagined Communities about the rise of nations. Michael is going to make fun of me in like 2 minutes for bringing up a book that was written like 50 years ago.
Oh, this is going to take 2 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, you can go get a coffee. You're fine.
Go make some coffee and come back.
So, like, nations aren't eternal things, right? Like, the United States, France, whatever. Like, you know, at most, they have a history of, like, 400 years.
What? Nations aren't eternal things built on the back of the Volk? Is that what you're saying?
It's a trap, Michael. It's a trap.
Okay. That's what I got from my listening to the Bannon podcast. Yeah.
I also got that from Matt Walsh. I had shocked. Okay, but yeah, avoiding the trap. So nations are like these new things, and the question is, where do they come from and why do they work? Why does everyone think that they're in the United States, that they're an American? Why does everyone think that they're French, that they live in France, whatever? And part of what he says is that kind of imagination is only possible because of developments in mass communication. So you have things like newspapers, you have things like telegraphs that allow people to write and distribute stories about the nation, right? You can take an interest in what's going on from Paris in the south of France, or, you know, on the east coast of the United States, you can learn about what's happening in Los Angeles, for example. So when you start to engage with media, it's just a simple point, but you're also getting a worldview. And you know, it's not that complicated to get to the next point, which is, different media, different worldviews, right? So it's not this straightforward, it's just like I'm getting pure facts and information, but rather you're getting a whole worldview that like allows you to put together the world in a particular way. It allows you to believe that you're in France or the US or that other countries are taking advantage of the United States or whatever. Like, there's all this like intellectual, invisible scaffolding that allows these worldviews to happen that comes in with the media that you take in. So like, maybe your girlfriend is noticing that like there are some tacit assumptions about gender roles that are common to a lot of the media that you're paying attention to that isn't what she signed up for. Like, so yeah, maybe... Maybe that's part of what's going on. Okay, Michael, you please.
I'm not going to object too much. Anderson, yeah, right. There's mass media. This is, what is it? His case study was Indonesia, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell we're doing this off the cuff, no notes, so there you go. Yeah. So if that's wrong, please leave it in the comments. Okay.
Yeah. All the Benedict Anderson heads are going to boycott the podcast, and we're going to lose our audience. I'm terrified.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, I'm going to counter your... I think it's funny. Like, I talked about Bartleby the Scrivener in the opening. That book's like 160 years old, right?
Oh, but like thinking of media, right? Bartleby's job is to copy documents in a law firm. Right?
That's right.
And so this is like the 1840s. There's no mimeograph, there's no Xeroxing, there's no printing, there's nothing. And so his job doesn't exist anymore. No one is a scrivener. I mean, maybe you go to like the College of Heralds in London and like you get like coats of arms that have to be copied. But outside of that, no one is a scrivener. That job doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. Nor do people writing for newspapers. Do newspapers still exist? I mean, this whole idea about, the funny part about bringing up Benedict Anderson and the making of the imagined communities of the nation is that, like, a lot of the traditional media that he describes is just gone, right? I mean, it's disappeared, at least in the U.S., right? There aren't,
I think it's fair to say that, the political environment that you find yourself in is often downstream of the media environment because it's what you can imagine. And so if these big centralizing institutions go away, what are you left with? What do you have? You have something that's more fragmentary.
Which is one way, Dan, to say that nations are so last century, aren't they? And so are imagined communities. Right?
I'll show myself out.
Thank you.
This feels a little Obama era. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it feels like kind of like late Obama era, kind of this last gasp of romanticism before the hammer came down. Yeah, it does, right? We're in a different world. I mean, a more productive line of theory to deal with this problem runs from, say, Marshall McLuhan to Neil Postman, right?
Oh,
the idea
yeah.
is that
Medium
there are
is the
mediums,
message.
yeah, that are hot and cold, with hot mediums being things like radios or podcasts that you can listen to in the background.
We're so hot right now.
So hot right now. I mean, the point here is that, like, nobody actually listens to what we say. It just goes on in the background, right? You occasionally tune in and tune out, tune in and tune out. I mean, they're there, right? Because print is also a hot medium in this theory. So, you know, that contrasts with the cold medium, which is like television, which is just like television and comics are cold mediums, right? They're kind of sketched out ideas that you really have to pay more attention to kind of fill in the blanks. But a podcast, you just kind of listen to in the background, and you tune in and you hear part of it and you let it go.
What makes it hot? Like what's going on there?
It's kind of like the density of information, and there's not as much space for audience interpretation.
Oh,
you can argue with this, but you can't. You know, it's hard to kind of like.
Oh, because there's video, there's audio. It's expansive. It's like there's not much space to participate in it.
Exactly. You know, and this kind of, I mean, I might make this other argument that podcasts are kind of reframing how you understand the world. I mean, and I hope it does. I mean, you should keep listening to our podcast. Maybe we can reframe, reframe. I don't know. Do something with this frame, right? You should keep listening to us. But I mean, it's good that you're kind of engaging and you're understanding the world in different times. But you're probably also kind of tuning in and tuning out and tuning in and tuning out, right? And so you want to talk about politics. Why not? I mean, there's a lot to talk about. People should talk about politics, shouldn't they? Do you think so?
Yeah,
absolutely. Like I say, so I mean, I guess for this question, I have another question: is are Walsh and Bannon a starting point for you, or is this an end point? I mean, are you just starting here, or are you are you winding up here, right? So my question is, like, is this red pilling or what have you? Does it lead? You know, it leads important and dangerous element of this question, because your girlfriend clearly thinks you evolved into a different person, right?
You know, I confess I don't quite get the hot cold distinction, but I think I see where you're getting at, which is like, how much room for interpretation is there with this media diet? And like, if you're making this your personality, how much room for interpretation or criticism is there of it? And are you taking criticism of the media diet to be criticism of you? Like, how much are you identifying with this?
I think very clearly he's taking his girlfriend's criticism of his media diet to be like in some deeply personal critique of himself, right?
Yeah.
I guess my answer here is actually more for him is this. I mean, so you just started listening. You just got into politics. You arrive at Bannon and Matt Walsh. Okay, is that it? Or do you evolve past this point? Is this just like you are on this journey, let's call it? Have you arrived at the first stop in the first station, and decided to just get off and move in there, or are you kind of going on, right?
I think there's also a question too about, okay, this is the first step on your journey. It is an interesting question to be like, why is this the first shit that you were served up? I mean, there's a massive amount of information out there, all sorts of different perspectives, all sorts of different takes on the world, and yet this is the starting point and the end point. Like, what is it about your circumstances that got you there?
I mean, it's the starting point, but I'm not sure it's the end point. I mean, this is the thing about politics, right? They're and electorates and everything. They change, right? I mean, Anderson's point is that the nation exists for 200 or 300 years. It exists in this form until the day it doesn't, right? Well, people are kind of the same way, right? They exist as these political beings until they don't. Politics shift, people shift, and it's always possible that he evolves past this.
Yeah, you know, there's also a basic question here too. It's like, you know, our what's the name? Desperate to Talk, right? Desperate to Talk. It doesn't seem that desperate to talk. He seems desperate for agreement and kind of compliance. And he's actually confused that his girlfriend wants to talk and like wants to interrogate what these opinions are. And so there's this kind of basic thing, which I suspect we're going to be coming back to repeatedly, that it's like, how do you live with people who have different ideas from you?
I mean, that is the core problem of democracy, which I'm sure we'll talk about this is a problem that exists at every level, from the household to the nation. I mean, Anderson's answer is that, well, the media creates these shared assumptions that everybody lives under.
Takes on board and is
takes
fed
on board.
and
We have
lives
these
with or
shared
whatever.
assumptions. You know, it could be Robert Bella and his civic religion in the U.S. and all this kind of stuff.
Never liked that one.
Okay. So that's one view, right? That people coexist because we have shared assumptions. Okay. I don't believe that. I mean, people have conflicts all the time more than shared assumptions. The question is, how do you mitigate these conflicts, right? So this is kind of the problem of plural society. And you have a little plural society between you and your girlfriend, because you clearly have now entered into a place where there's a major difference of opinion that could be quite consequential, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you use etiquette and politics instead of violence? That is always the question of plural society.
Man. And
right? The etiquette here.
It's worth keeping some perspective too on what the differences are, right? Like, this isn't like, should we spend, $50 more per student in our school district? This is like, do I have a right to do what I want to do with my body that your girlfriend is flagging? And like, regardless of how you come down on that, you have to see that the stakes are pretty high for the people that you're trying to live with.
Yeah. I mean, the stakes could be high. On both sides, right? But definitely for his girlfriend, the stakes seem very high. It's a very dangerous moment for their relationship, right?
Yeah, the funny thing too is that, I'll just flag this, but like, there's also this phantasm that you often see in when people get frustrated with democratic politics, that like, one of the things that you want to do is create a community of people who are all on the same page. And people often do that via political party, or they'll do it by ethnic or racial lines, or they'll do it by nationality. And it's this idea that if we just got all the same people together and we got rid of all the different people, then we would solve this problem of difference. But like, that's a phantasm, because people are always going to disagree with each other. Like, if you got rid of everyone who's not a Christian, then you'd have the Protestants fighting with the Catholics.
No, I mean, it's a phantasm because this problem of disagreement and difference is a reciprocal problem. It's a recursive problem, right? It exists at every level. I mean, you can isolate out people who you think all think alike, feel alike, live alike. Consensus, literally means to feel together. You could isolate them out, but I guarantee you, after a period of time, differences will develop, even in the most homogeneous. I mean, you're going to tell me that even in the most homogeneous ethnic enclaves in the U.S., there aren't differences? Of course there are.
You're always, you're going to have basic human differences. You're going to have generational differences over the life course. You're going to have differences depending on what people's role in the community are. Like, all that stuff, you can't get away from it.
Yeah. I mean, so, and the other thing is that these differences, I mean, I think the real practical advice here for this guy is to think about etiquette and the politics of discussion, right? How do you enter into these talks with some modicum of etiquette that can stand in for the, for the finger pointing kind of harsh disagreement that can turn into, this kind of violence that might rip you and your girlfriend apart, right? You're going to need an etiquette here to be developed.
Yeah. And I mean, part of it comes from expectations, right? Are you expecting to dominate and just be absolutely correct because of the 2 podcasts you listened to at the start of your podcast journey, your news journey? Or is it like...
nothing says dominate like Steve Bannon and his 13 shirt collars, right?
Look, man, he's earned every single one of those.
He's dominating the closet. Okay.
The first one catches the dandruff. The second one catches the eczema. The third one catches...
I'm going to snort. I can't help it.
Yeah. Bottom line, figure out a way to live with each other, not dominating each other. Or just go back to nature. No podcasts in nature.
Yeah, that's right. You could. I've given you Dumont on plural society, and now Dan's going to give you Rousseau. Back to nature.
Yeah, and this has been another edition of How Poorly Dan and Michael Remember Grad School.
Thank you.
All right. Second question. Michael, are you ready?
I am as ready as I'm going to be.
All right. The metaphorical information shots now will become real. Real
Right in
shots.
the hypodermic needle, right? Put it
Yup.
in me. Yeah.
All right. Hope you guys are settling in at the new People Stuff headquarters. It's so nice of people to notice.
We are.
All right.
I am very happy.
So when we were growing up, my cousin was into health and wellness. She became a yoga instructor and got into holistic health and crystals. At one point, she moved to Santa Fe to be near something she calls a vortex. But over the last year, she has, and I quote, vibed with RFK Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again. Finally, she says, someone gets her and is going to do something about all the chemicals. End quote. We both have kids that are about the same age, and it won't surprise you that her kids are not vaccinated. While my 6-year-old is fully covered, my 2-year-old, because she's so young, isn't fully protected from measles, among other things. This summer, there is a big family reunion planned. Do you think we should go or not? Signed, vaxxed, but not immune.
This is a hard question. Yeah. Okay, first, I guess I'm going to start here on the practical level before we kind of go off here on this. But I guess the question about shielding your 2-year-old from a potentially dangerous infection, I think the answer depends on where you live. Are you in a measles hotspot? I mean, is this reunion happening in West Texas or Marin County? Or are you in an area where the herd immunity rate is high enough to still be in effect? I mean, I think this really makes a big difference as far as your risk level.
Yeah,
maybe
so there's like a practical level to this.
There's a practical level, or maybe you take the 6-year-old and leave the 2-year-old with a babysitter or a relative.
Okay.
I don't know, but I mean, you are right to be cautious about measles because it is the most contagious virus, and it's not nearly as benign as RFK Jr. would portray it. I mean, particularly the Maha people would say, it can cause death or create lasting damage from brain swelling, but it also has a kind of weirder effects of erasing your immune system's memory and leaving you vulnerable to otherwise benign infections.
Yeah, I mean, it's really bad for kids too, right?
And it can't absolutely. And if you're if you are the of the age where you only received one dose of the MMR, because that was standard for a while, you could, in fact, there's a possibility of breakthrough infections there, right? So, I mean, it's not like smallpox, but it's not as benign as people make it out to be either. But on the deeper, more abstract level, I mean, this is also a classic question about etiquette and interacting with people whom you have deep-seated disagreements with, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I think Michael has given us all the practical approach to this, the confrontation averse approach to this.
It's kind of a new tact for me to be practical. I'm testing it out here, see how it goes.
All right, well, I'm going to serve you up something else, and you'll see how you like it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so Michael wants you to protect your kid and avoid a confrontation. If your cousin is already this deep and willing to kill your children because she's just asking questions about the measles vaccine, there probably isn't much to be done. Okay, let's take this in a different direction. Let's say you want the confrontation. You're tired of putting up with this shit from your cousin. She's selfish and not thinking about the health and safety of those around her. She is considering killing your children. What could we do to escalate? Okay, let's think about this.
Okay. This is definitely a Dan answer. Keep going.
Okay. First, we observe that strict confrontation does not work. The beauty of most reactionary political movements is that they have a built-in martyr complex. Put differently, they're precious little snowflakes who think everyone is out to get them. So your criticism, intelligent, well-founded, belligerent, hostile, means nothing to them. Your cousin is just going to become stronger by your criticism because she is thinking for herself, and the more disagreement she finds, the stronger she becomes in her convictions. Okay, to get anywhere with this, you must attack at the level of symbols. This brings in our favorite conservative anthropologist, Mary Douglas. We are in purity and danger territory. Douglas's essential observation was that matters of hygiene stumble into matters of purity and are generally culturally specific. How is it that you can both see a shot with some liquid in it so differently? For you, it's medicine, and for your cousin, it's poison. You're in different social worlds, you're in different cultural worlds, and you're making inverted evaluations of what is pure and what is dangerous. Moreover, you're doing it with relation to your bodies. Now, my observation is that your cousin is forcing her ideas of purity and danger on you. Well, turnabout is fair play. We also know that the Maha people freak out about seed oils, pasteurized milk, and sugar. The simplest thing for you to do is bake a cake. In fact, bake several. Make them beautiful and delicious. Avoid explaining what's in them. Then whenever everyone is happily enjoying them, let it drop and go for the jugular. 2 can play this game. And we all know that there's a big difference from exposing a 2-year-old to lifelong disability and death and eating a sugary cake. Your cousin does not. And maybe, just maybe, she'll have the same caution and deference that she has already forced you to exercise. Maybe you can force a bit of perspective, and maybe she'll back down.
Why do I get the feeling that's not at all what's going to happen here?
Wait, you don't think a cake's going to do it?
I don't think, like, responding passive-aggressively has ever really gotten the outcome that
But this is aggression.
that you expect.
You're forcing them to eat something that they think is poison.
This has been an episode of so many TV shows. I feel like this is like the classic setup for a murder mystery.
Who put the sugar
Family
in the
reunion
cake?
descends into chaos. You know,
There was
tonight on Dateline or
pasteurized
something.
milk. Sacre
That's
bleu.
right.
Call Poirot.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay. So, yeah, you're right to avoid the raw milk dairy when you're making your cake. I mean, the thing is that
Well, you're
the
baking
thing-
a cake. You
but
put raw milk in.
The etiquette is you bring the cake, but
Yeah.
you don't demand people eat it. I mean, it's polite to eat people's cakes when they bring dessert. I mean, if I go someplace and people bring dessert, I will always eat it because I like to eat dessert.
I guess what I'm
But-
saying is that, like, when you bring the cake, right? Okay, if your cousin is like, I'm not vaccinating my kids, fuck off, right? And you say,
Sure.
oh, you should vaccinate your kids. And she says, nope, not going to do it. And you say, oh, but what about my kids? She says, yeah, you should take better care of your kids, right? You're in this kind of like abstract, like, nothing matters, you're just talking at each other. If you bring the cake, you're actually forcing a social interaction around this precise thing, right? All of a sudden, there's all these other people there that are excited to eat this cake. It's contextualized, right? You actually have to deal with it in a specific time and place. I think that's part of what's going on with this vaccine shit. Like, it's very easy to imagine that, like, oh, I'm getting rid of the poison and whatever, but I don't see the consequences of my actions.
Yeah, I mean, I think the argument from the anti-vaxxers is still this idea that, well, you know, I'm going to vaccinate my children because vaccines have things like mercury and blah, 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 right? Or this idea that natural immunity is better. But I mean, there's actually, as we're going to go down this road, there's something more perverse and dangerous behind this Maha ideology, and it's that if you're healthy, you don't get sick, right? I mean, it's that if you have the right genes, then in the more disturbing versions, it's if you have the right genes, you don't get sick. Only the weak get sick. The strong are healthy.
It does always come back to eugenics.
It always comes back to eugenics in that sense. So, I mean, I don't think you can counter eugenics with a cake.
Well, what do you counter it with?
Well, I mean, well, I mean, I have a solution to this anti-vaxxer problem, and it's just to give them cash to be vaccinated. I really don't think it's a deeply held belief.
So, what our writer needs to do actually is start a Kickstarter to fundraise enough money to pay her cousin to vaccinate her children.
Well, I mean, assuming you want to go to this family reunion, we could take this in a whole different direction and talk about kinship and say, you know, families you choose and families you refuse and things like that. That's another way to go with this.
Yeah. I just worry we haven't quite solved the root of the well, I guess we've solved the practicality of it. I mean, you sketched out very nicely the risk assessment and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, there's no solving this. I mean, this is kind of my point about having to live with people you disagree with. This is not really a solvable problem for When you get a critical mass of people who refuse to do something that seems so obvious and innocuous and essential for everyone's benefit, if you get a critical mass of people who refuse to do it, in a democracy, your tools for convincing them to do it they don't always bring about the results you work. Let me put it that way. So this might just be something that we have to roll through until your cousin's kids die.
I think,
or something like that.
I guess then I'm going back to my cake. I think you just have to get creative about the way you engage. And this sort of like abstract conversation about like what you should or shouldn't do, your obligations or whatever, clearly is not working for all sorts of reasons. And so you have to figure out different ways to introduce the issue. The cake sounds kind of stupid. I mean, it's a cake, right? How much can you expect from a cake? But it does introduce these ideas about like, wait a second. Like you think you have some unified theory of health. And this unified theory of health says that both you should not eat cake and you should avoid vaccinations. I mean, when you start putting these things together as like, these aren't coherent. And like, insofar as you're starting from a place that makes them coherent, like, you should probably interrogate what the hell is going on there. And, this is how cracks in these mosaics of belief can come about.
Yeah, I mean,
because that's the thing. I mean, if you're actually concerned about living with other people, pluralism, democracy, all that shit, you don't actually get to give up on engaging with each other.
No, that's true. But I mean, I'm not saying you should give up on engaging with her, with this person. I'm just saying that maybe that's not. I'm not sure that's a productive way to engage. It's funny because I feel like our roles are reversed. Usually, I'm the one who would.
But your mode of engagement is just avoiding her.
It's not avoiding her. I mean, you go and you engage with her, and maybe you have a gentle conversation. Maybe you find common ground. I mean, that's etiquette is my mode of engaging here. You have to live with these people you disagree with, right? And who disagree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing here is that, like, whatever you think about your cousin, I mean, she is of the belief that vaccines are harmful and that things like, sugar, seed oils, processed foods, pasteurization are harmful. And I mean, I just think introducing a cake that she will perceive as harmful to her is not a productive way to engage. I also have this. I'm also working on this other theory here, which is Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the Protestant theologian, he was executed in a Nazi concentration camp in 1945. He wrote a lot, and leading up to it, before his execution, he wrote a lot. Let me put it that way, as most of us do. Anyways, he wrote about the problems that. This question of how they fell into this situation in Germany, right? And most of the rhetoric is about it's just evil, pure evil, and actually Bonhoeffer said, actually no. If it was evil, if it was just evil, it would be very easy to deal with because evil has this kind of hard center you can find and push back on and counter. He said the real problem here is that we fell into the grip of a deep, deep stupidity. And when you're dealing with a deep, deep stupidity, there is no center. There's nothing you can just, there's no rational thing in there you can just kind of connect with and say, explain away, right? I mean, it's just in the world of sideways logic, right? So the thing he identifies about stupidity is that it kind of, you push on it and it just kind of like squishes out of the way over here, right?
Yeah.
It has this alternate theory of explanation, right? There's no like logical cause and effect that you train of thought you can follow. It's just this sideways moving and into conspiracy theories.
Okay, how's this then? I think your avoid harm to your children is great because the reality of social life and the reality of etiquette is such that you can't make everything a conflict, right? You have to live your life, and you can't constantly be fighting battles because if you fought a battle over you'd cease to live your life, you'd burn out, it'd be terrible. And it's doubly so with something as intractable as attitudes towards public health and your family, right? So you have to pick your battles. However, if you are going to pick a battle, I think the way you have to deal with stupidity is you have to shift the frames of reference, right? Because it is squishy, it moves around. And so you have to like try and get the person to break out of this thing that is very resilient from breaking out of. And the way you do that is you shift context, you shift situations. You have to give some sort of novelty because the stupidity can assimilate the everyday life, and the stupidity can assimilate the things that you're used to dealing with. And so you have to like shift the context in some kind of way to get the dialogue on some new terrain. And like that is the politics of etiquette or the politics of engagement, right? You have to choose your battles, but insofar as you're going to pick a battle against something that's as resilient as this, you have to shift the frame of where you're at. You also have to be open to the fact that, you know, there are going to be fragments of truth in what the other person is talking about.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, you make a very good point. Are there fragments of truth in what the Maha people are saying? What RFK Jr. is saying? About,
Obviously.
Say, food purity of food labeling, things like this.
Diabetes is in many ways
Lifestyle diseases.
A lifestyle disease, yeah. And like
Yeah,
we can point to things in the food stream that like cause it. I mean, it's not it's not like a completely insane edifice.
No, there's not. And I mean, as someone who has a child in school and has seen what they serve for school lunches, yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see where you would start on the slippery slope if you looked at those lunches too closely. There's common ground, yes. So
Yeah.
this is where I would come from. Maybe you can find common ground and work out from there, other than
Yeah.
than your
Okay.
Trojan horse of a cake here. What flavor do you think this cake would be?
I think it'd have to be a carrot cake because you'd have to give the sheen of healthiness.
Carrot cake does have the sheen of healthiness. Yeah.
Okay, I think we've got somewhere with this one. Michael, do you have a last thought for what is it? Vaxxed but not immune.
Yeah. If you go, just be polite and try not to offend anybody with your cake. But also, I have to say, the list of ingredients you're left with, if you're a diehard Maha person, I don't know how good those cakes will be. So maybe bring your own cake and eat it.
My advice is to have your cake and get your shots off too.
Yeah, definitely get your shots too. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we've come to my favorite time of the podcast, the time where we fix shit in a segment we like to call Fixing Shit, where we come up to solutions for life's problems. So Dan, what are we fixing today?
College admissions.
College admissions. I mean, what's wrong with college admissions? Don't we all know they work so perfectly? Because I know I get a class of 250 students, and they were all hand-selected by the admissions department, and they're all fantastic.
They're just perfect for your university.
Perfect. I think, my God, these people in the admissions department could not do any better.
Okay. College admissions are a huge waste of time for everyone involved.
Not for the people in the admissions department. It's literally their job.
It is a huge waste of time for almost everyone involved. So not only are you making teenagers expert in assembling some of the most vacuous prose that the English language has to offer, not only are you socializing them at a tender age in a vicious and senseless rat race that has all sorts of weird psychological effects, over a minimum level of competence, there's just not that much difference between the people we let into our universities. Like, just, there isn't. And so, admissions should be open. Anyone who wants to go to a particular university should be allowed to do so. And if people fail out, they fail out. If we can't handle that and we have to ration spots, we should do so by lottery. It's completely insane that enrollments at our major universities are basically the same as where they were in the 70s and 80s, and the population of planet Earth has basically doubled since then. So yeah, open admission. Everyone who wants to come can come. If they fail out, they fail out. You know, that's how that goes. They can try again if they want to. And if we can't handle that, we should ration spots by lottery. We should just abandon the pretense that we're picking the best people to go to these places.
Yeah, I largely agree with that. I mean, I don't. I was going to suggest a lottery. I mean, you can't just have open admissions just for logistical reasons because of the reason you just outlined, right? I mean, how many seats does Harvard have for their freshmen? For their undergraduates, like 4,000.
But like if they're charging $80,000 a student or whatever the hell they're charging now, then they get that much more money in the students that show up. So
Yeah,
expand.
but I mean, very few people at undergrads at Harvard pay the full freight, right? I mean,
Well, someone's paying it. I mean, it's
A few paid,
administratively coming out of the endowment or whatever. I mean, that money is circulating through the accounting of the institution.
Yes, no doubt. But I'm all for this lottery. I just think logistically you're going to have too many applicants for too few spots. So a lottery it is. And you know how I've been thinking about this, probably in exactly the wrong way. But I've read once, and I read the other day in Field and Stream, which I do read religiously. I love reading Field and Stream. That like if there are some spots for hunting some animals, particularly in the mountainous west, when this is logged with elk hunting, there are too many hunters who want to hunt a particularly productive piece of ground, and so they have a lottery.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how college admission should be, like elk hunting lotteries or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're right. You can't tell student quality from test grades or from grades or test scores. It's just.
And I will allow that there's a minimum
everyone's test
level of
scores
competence.
and grades are good because of inflation. Yeah,
But I'm also
And
going to
there-
allow that there's like a minimum level of competence that like, yeah, you should be able to read a book and write a sentence. Like there's a minimum level that like you probably should come in with. But even then I could be pushed around on it.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, I teach at what is now a highly selective institution, an admissions rate under 10%. And so I am fond of telling the freshmen when they come in that, what that really means is that you have a seat, but I could probably get 5 or 6 other people to take that seat who would be just as good as you.
The insane thing to me, too, is that like universities hold themselves up as public institutions, but they are public institutions that fail to give services to 90% of the people that want to get services from them. Like, that's outrageous.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and also think about the layer of administrative bloat that could be cut. I also like the idea of failing out, right? There's too much pressure to pass everyone, particularly because, the institution looks bad if students fail.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, it's very difficult to give students honest feedback. And, like,
Oh, absolutely.
If learning is an apprenticeship and the reason you're learning this shit is because you don't know it already, and there's something that, like, we know that you don't, and that, like, we can show you that you don't already know, that you're going to learn in the process of reading and writing and doing research and projects and all that shit that happens at a university, right? We have to be able to give you honest feedback. And, like, the grades have to have some level of integrity. Otherwise, you're not going to learn shit. There's no consequences. And we're in a situation right now where the universities are so selective that, like, we're in this weird consumer satisfaction model where the aggregate scores on classroom evaluations are more important than the grades that students are getting in the classroom or whatever. So there's this way that the model that we're in is kind of bad for everyone all around. I mean, it's rare that you get honest feedback in a university.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just say it's not good for students to preordain them as selected, right? I mean, it's like they've been selected to the priestly caste before they've even done anything.
Yeah. And then
you
a
have
bad
to-
grade isn't just
it's-
like, hey, man, you need to do a little more work, try again. A bad grade is
like
you're a
the end
bad
of
person.
Yeah, and it's like the end of their career, right? I mean,
You deserve
before
to
it
be
has even
poor.
started. Yeah, that's exactly how they take it. And the worst grade you can give someone is like an A- or a B+. This is like the angriest reactions. No, I'm serious.
So
It's
in
absolutely
Denmark,
ridiculous.
where I teach, the grading scale, in the U.S. it's A, B, C, D, F, right? And then you can have pluses or minuses or whatever. And so A, B, C, D, F, it's a 5-point scale where you can whatever.
Right.
The Danish grading scale is 12, 10, 7, 4, 2, 0, -3. 0 and -3 are both failing grades. -3 is like the super fail, and it's averaged, right? So a -3 really fucks up your average. But like the maddest that people get, first of all, is when you give them a 10 when they think they should get a 12. But it's when you give them the
obviously.
7, because the 7
yeah.
is 3
Yeah.
off of the 10, and the 10 is 2 off of the 12.
That's right.
So
That's
whereas
right.
in the U.S. you have this uniform ordinal system, in the Danish system you have these baggy spaces between the marks that really fuck people up.
Yeah. I mean, that's the role the pluses and minuses serve in the U.S., right?
Yeah. Well, that's why the functional grade range can be B+ to A.
Oh, yeah, that's the functional grade range of any university in the U.S., yeah.
Which is just not correct. I mean,
you really have to mess up to fall out of that functional grade range, yeah.
Yeah.
I also think grants should be by lottery.
Yeah.
But I'm just add that in. Okay, so there you have it. Dan has fixed college admissions. We're going to take a break now, and when we get back, we'll have one more question. All right. We have arrived at our last question. It goes like this. Hey, I have a real problem. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years and have considered getting engaged. I know we're a little young, only 19, but we really love each other. Well, except for one very important thing. Dun, dun, dun. He refuses to eat my abuela's cooking.
Boo! Boo!
Man, I don't even know if I want to continue reading this. I love it. She is my grandmother! Exclamation point. Good on her. But he says he doesn't like food that he says smells too much or is too, in his words, greasy.
Boo!
Near as I can tell, he thinks Mexican food begins and ends with Taco Bell. Don't get me wrong. I love a Doritos Loco, but he refuses to even try my grandmother's food and gets all weird about it when I try and bring it up. At the start, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but it's causing a lot of tension in our relationship. Food comes up a lot! Exclamation point. What do I do? Signed, Torn Over Tamales.
Oh,
Dan?
man. I wish I had an abuela to cook me tamales.
God, me too. Me too.
Okay, I am so mad about this question that I'm going to have to step back and try and find some sort of anthropological zen to defamiliarize myself.
Why don't you just shoot from the gut here, Dan? How do you really feel about this?
God damn it. This is such a beautiful part of someone's life. You know, it's your grandmother's cooking. It sounds like it's good tamales. Oh, man.
I have a Korean mother-in-law, and she is a fantastic cook. And I love it when she cooks for me. And I eat all of it. It's fantastic.
And no one has ever said anything in the history of the world about the smell of Korean food, have they?
Not that I listen to. Just in one ear, out the other. I mean, what tastes good, you know?
Oh, God. Okay, yeah. So the thing about these taste aversions, these hang-ups, is they feel really deep. They feel really personal. They feel really natural. We're also living in a consumer society, so your taste preferences are your identity. It's not just that you don't like Mexican food, you're the guy that doesn't like Mexican food. I mean, that's how we deal with preferences. So this is not just a matter of being like, hey, try this. Does this taste good? Oh, yeah, you kind of like this thing. Does this taste like this? There's something deeper going on here. And it's at the level...
I mean, only assholes don't like Mexican food. I say this as a native-born Californian. Yeah.
Yes. Likewise.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, God. Okay, how do we give something useful that doesn't cast... the boyfriend outside of polite society. Okay, look, yeah, so we get it.
It's impossible. This boyfriend, and I use the term lightly, is outside of polite society as far as I'm concerned. He's a barbarian. Nix cultura.
Okay. Nix cultura, yeah. Okay. How can we help? So, taste preferences, smells, textures. All of these things are precursors to the judgments that we make. And they often feel supernatural, super deep-seated, there's no arguing with them. If you taste something that you don't like, you can't interrogate that. It's just a feeling, an expression, right? That said, we know that taste changes over the course of a life, right? Often children are way more into sweet foods than adults are. Maybe not in America, but as a general rule, your tastes shift as you get older. We also know that depending on where you go in the world, aggregate tastes are different, right? In many parts of East Asia, Japan specifically, people generally, not everyone, but people generally are not the biggest fans of strong cheeses. and dairy products. Whereas you hang around parts of Western Europe, people fucking love their stinky cheeses.
Yeah.
And again, it's not everyone, but there are these tendencies, right? We're all humans, but we have these different base aversions and comfort levels with food. And anthropologists often think about these things that feel natural, but are culturally specific in the language of habitus, right? It's these things that feel natural, but aren't, right? And I can see Michael getting his knives out already, and I know why. And I'll save that for him because he loves carving a rotisserie. But yeah, so these things are culturally variable, right? So that's a starting point. But what that also means is that they're often attached to values, right? Like, what is the value you're articulating when you say someone's food is dirty or greasy, right? It's very easy to be like, oh, this is kind of similar to some pretty nasty prejudices and stereotypes that are out there. And I don't want to overstate the case of what's going on in this particular instance. I mean, maybe this person just doesn't like stuff. But often these evaluations of cleanliness, dirtiness, greasiness, smelliness are wrapped up into larger evaluations about groups of people. So there's a bigger conversation to be had about where these taste preferences are coming from. Michael, tell me why I'm wrong.
Okay, I kind of lost your train of thought at the end. The smoke was coming out of my ears.
God damn it, I just wanted some tamales.
I got to bang on my earphones to make sure I was hearing that right. Okay.
Yeah, Gabe, are the levels correct?
I say hocus pocus habitus smabitus. As a concept, I hate habitus. It is the worst because it theorizes some kind of endless prison. Like humanity
this is the
stuck
Bourdieu
in
version
amber.
of it.
Yeah, the Bourdieu version, but that's the version everyone uses, and it's kind of the version you implicitly use.
No,
there.
I use the Marcel Mauss version of it. Techniques of the
make
body.
Make it more explicit. Okay. As a point of empirical fact, change is the main constant in human interaction, I think, as we've tried to make.
Oh, the anthropological Zen koan. Change is the constant.
Change is the constant. I mean, Dewey had it right when he described habit as a kind of a mainspring of action, right? This reciprocal kind of usually unthinking, but always open to the unexpected rupture. And what you need to do is to rupture your boyfriend's love of Taco Bell. This is the problem here. And on a personal...
Wait. Are you advocating the equivalent of baking the boyfriend a cake?
No, I'm not. I'm not advocating baking the poisonous passive-aggressive cake. No, I'm not advocating that at all.
Oh, then go on. What are you advocating?
Well, first of all, let me digress here for a second. On a personal level,
a digression.
You're making it really hard to get my digression out. Okay. My digression is turning into aggression at this point. Okay. But let me offer you this. Your boyfriend is a child, and the problem you face is his inability to change into an adult. I mean, if he doesn't like your grandmother's cooking, he should eat it because you like it and it's important to you. And I'm going to point at this because it's very important. Eat it. I mean... Okay, but let me back up here.
This is actually pretty good because now we're not like, oh, the boyfriend's a racist. Now we're just like, he's a kid. He needs to grow up.
Yeah, he needs to change into an adult. I mean, let me ask you, Dan, in your capacity as an adult human being, have you ever done something you didn't want to do? Is that like your daily experience? Yes? Oh, you have? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, okay. Yeah, that is the...
Have you worked a job?
Unfortunately, I have, yes. And sometimes I found it meaningful, but yeah, I have. But I mean, that's just my point here is that, you do things you don't want to do, right? That's just what it is.
And do you think he'll eventually love it, or does he just do it and shut up?
He'll eventually love it because I'm sure her abuela's cooking is fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's a different point here. I mean, I want to pick up your point about the American palate.
Yeah, let's dunk on the American palate.
Yeah, despite your... let's call it ham-fisted habitus wrapping. Your point about the American palate is correct. Sweet, salty, and fatty. That's the American palate in a nutshell, right? And actually, this idea that taste has this kind of can't be interrogated is, I don't know why you said that's exactly wrong. Have you ever heard of wine criticism?
Oh,
Here it
yeah,
is.
yeah. But there's a
Yeah.
reason that everyone thinks that they're pompous assholes, because they're being like, ooh, this is pebbly or this is perry. And like, yes, I get that it actually can be used to describe wine, but it's esoteric, man.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, just being a pompous asshole doesn't mean you don't have a point. I mean, I assume that's why
people
people.
stuff.
I assume that's why our 25 listeners listen to this podcast. But anyways, I'm going to
People
push this
stuff.
point. I'm going to, yeah, right. Pompous assholes. Yeah,
All
okay.
right, we're pompous assholes, and we have a point.
And now I'm going to talk about wine tasting. Okay, this idea has probably been pushed the farthest in this idea of the Parkerization of wine. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah,
wine
this
critic,
is like
Robert
the
Parker?
wine spectator guy, right? He gives the
Yeah,
He's the
he gives the
reason.
rankings.
Yeah. Go on.
He's like the college admissions guy for wine. Okay.
Yeah.
Parker was a very influential wine critic and invented the point system. Well, you know, as his rankings became popular, they became very dominant in the American marketplace.
Oh
People
yeah.
would
Like he
only
sets
buy
what
ranked
gets
wines,
stocked, right? Like you
yeah,
go into
exactly.
Costco, they've got like the little wine spectator scores on the wines or whatever,
Yes,
right?
precisely. And so he became a tastemaker for the global wine industry. And this is the point about taste. It is a global industry, not a local industry. I mean, if you think Taco Bell is let us put it this way. The flavors of Taco Bell are flavors that have been well thought about by people wearing lab coats for a very long time. Let
I
me put it
frequently
that
have
way.
the
Yeah.
experience going into Taco Bell that I am in like some food critics avant-garde like doctoral dissertation on what food could be.
Interesting.
Like the Cheez-It taco? That's incredible. Sorry, go on.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Tell me more about wine.
I don't know how to respond to that because I literally live within walking distance of 5 good taquerias. I'm sorry. I have no frame of reference for this Taco Bell thing.
Look, you just have to accept that Taco Bell is Taco Bell. It's not Mexican food. It's Taco Bell.
Okay, maybe I have these very maha feelings about food that I'm just now beginning to realize as we start to talk about this.
It's okay. I'm going to die at 55 from seed oil poisoning. So go on.
Okay, good. But anyways, back to Parker. Let me go back to my pompous asshole discussion here. As it turns out, Parker had this very, very American palate. He liked heavily oaked red wines that were jammy, right? Picked at peak ripeness. So really ripe wines aged in oak, which gives the wine like a vanilla ice cream-like flavor that is strong enough to cover up notes of like terroir or
the complicated shit that
varietals or
sophisticates
anything,
like.
really.
Yeah.
You just get these really big, highly alcoholic, very jammy, heavily oaked red wines, and they just kind of taste like vanilla. That is the American palate. That is what's going on with your boyfriend. He's a child who doesn't know any better. You need to help him. You either need to help him grow up and learn so he can learn to appreciate the beauty and subtlety and power of your abuela's cooking, or you just need to get a new boyfriend.
There you have it. Americans should stop being little babies and grow up.
And speaking of a couple little babies, that's the end of this week's show.
Today's episode is brought to you by seed oils. Whether you're taking a quick shower before you head out to the office or washing off a long day spent in a coal mine, why use water when you've got seed oils?
That's it for People Stuff. You can find all of what we're up to at our Linktree. People Stuff Pod at Linktree. Sign up for our Substack, catch our latest episodes, shop the merch store. All at People Stuff Pod at Linktree. Thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm Michael.
And I'm Dan. And I'm in the diabetes aisle of the Danish grocery store.
I like that. Does it smell like diabetes in there?
Yeah, you just have this whiff of like processed sugar as you walk by, and then you're like, oh shit, am I a hot person?